recall myself at the age of 8, lying on a bed, imagining death. I visualized myself floating amidst a white nothing. It is my earliest remembered attempt to comprehend death. I still find myself pondering death frequently, even today. Sometimes I imagine the death of a loved one. I am able to conduct entire, exhaustingly emotional rehearsals of death. Why would I do this, you may ask? I think I am hoping to find the answers to my impossible questions. How does one accept such a loss as death? How does one sustain? Walk Two Moons, written by author Sharon Creech, is the story of 13-year-old Salamanca Tree Hiddle. In this realistic and fictional novel, we accompany Sal and her eccentric grandparents on a journey west from Ohio to Idaho, tracing the route of the bus that led Sal's mother to her death. Creech invites us to experience Sal's journey of grief and acceptance. Sal, or Chickabiddy, as her Gram and Gramps Hiddle call her, has shiny black hair long enough to sit on. She has grown up a country girl in Kentucky, among blackberry bushes, the fields and trees, a barn full of chickens, and her father and mother. At all costs, Sal does not want to believe that her mother is actually dead. The union between Sal and her mother is physical. Sal says, "I didn't want to blame her for leaving. She was my mother, and she was part of me." Sal loves her mother as I love my child. You, my child, arrived and my whole universe shifted. Every cell in my body reorganized to focus on you. Are you awake? Are you hungry? Are you warm? I am completely connected to you. I cannot comprehend that destruction. As we learn through Sal, grief and acceptance are in fact a journey, and one that requires time. As Sal travels along the highway from Ohio to Idaho, a symbolic setting, we are reminded of the literal distance that Sal must travel in order to accept that her mother will not and cannot return. It is a journey that simultaneously pushes and pulls Sal in different directions. Creech uses sound devices to show us this. The sound of the wind was hurry, 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 and at night even the silent darkness whispered rush, rush, rush. At other times, the more wicked were the whispers in the air. Slow down, slow, slow, slow. It is a journey that Sal did not, in fact, expect to survive. Sal does survive, however. She discovers that when we walk in the moccasins of others, we may learn about ourselves, and ultimately we survive our turmoil. To show us this, Creech develops two parallel plots, that of Sal and that of Sal's friend, Phoebe Winterbottom. On the trip, Sal tells her grandparents the story of Phoebe, whose own mother also leaves. Sal cannot help but walk in Phoebe's moccasins. We listen as Sal, through Phoebe, comes to new understandings about herself and her loss. I knew that Phoebe was convinced that her mother was kidnapped because it was impossible for Phoebe to imagine that her mother could leave her for any other reason. I wanted to call Phoebe and say that maybe her mother had gone looking for something. Maybe her mother was unhappy. Maybe there was nothing that Phoebe could do about it. For the first time, it occurred to me that maybe my mother's leaving had nothing whatsoever to do with me. It was separate and apart. We couldn't own our mothers. Sal discovers that the trip to Idaho was a gift to her from her grandparents. This gives Sal a chance to walk in her mother's moccasins, to see what she had seen and feel what she might have felt on her last trip. Over time, Sal faces fully the death of her mother. She finds the courage to defeat her denial. She learns about herself through the experiences of others, such as Phoebe. Sal survives, knowing that her mother is still with her, in the fields, the air, the barn, the walls, and the trees. As for me, I know that someday my child and I must separate. We will hold many rehearsals. My child will grow up and walk, as a child must, away from me and into the wild world, again and again. Like Salamanca Tree Hiddle, I will begin the brave journey to carry on.